At its absolute peak in 117 AD, the Roman Empire covered an expanse stretching from the hills of Britannia to the sands of North Africa. To the contemporary orator Aelius Aristides, this vastness represented the pinnacle of civilization. He viewed Rome as the defender of the righteous, an administration that brought stability to a chaotic world. But a Caledonian leader named Calgacus evaluated this exact same territory differently. He argued this peace was a manifestation of unquenchable greed, achieved through slaughter and mass slavery. To see the source of this tension, we have to look at the latency of the empire. Moving a simple message from a frontier province in Syria to the central government in Rome could take weeks. Culturally and physically, these outer edges lived in total isolation from the capital. Framing Rome as a simple hero or villain overlooks the logistical reality of how the state functioned. The Pax Romana functioned as a synthetic stability, engineered to hold across these impossible distances. While Rome maintained its outer borders through the force of its legions, it governed its interior through a highly scalable legal architecture. This legal architecture functioned as an applied administrative operating system, running continuously beneath the physical territory. To survive the strain of constant expansion, this system had to evolve from a localized set of city rules into a universal framework. The code had to process millions of diverse, non-Roman populations, extracting their economic value without granting them full political power. This legal evolution proved robust enough for its structural code to survive the physical collapse of the empire. The invention of world law became Rome's primary tool for global management, proving more durable than the legions themselves. If we rewind the timeline from 117 AD to the early Republic, between 753 and 510 BC, the empire shrinks to a single node, the city of Rome. At this stage, the city-state ran on jus civile, the civil law. It was a closed loop, and non-citizens were locked out. Derived from the law of the 12 Tables, this framework was rigid, designed exclusively to manage disputes among locals. The rules were closely intertwined with the secret religious rituals of the state. Because legal knowledge was guarded by a college of priests, the system remained inaccessible to outsiders. The initial signs of system failure appeared when Rome began conquering central and southern Italy, absorbing large populations of non-citizens. An operating system built exclusively on local religious customs for a homogeneous citizen base lacked the capacity to scale and govern an empire. By the middle of the Republic, Rome faced an administrative bottleneck. Thousands of foreign merchants and conquered peoples were attempting to conduct commerce within Roman territory. This generated a daily legal error. Because these foreigners possessed no standing within the jus civile, they had no recognized legal method to enforce contracts or resolve disputes. The upgrade arrived in 242 BC with the praetor Peregrinus, a magistrate for foreigners. Acting as a router, he created a parallel network known as the jus gentium. This secondary loop allowed foreign trade and taxes to flow while keeping the actor's foreign status intact. The jus gentium was pragmatic and open source. It prioritized commercial efficiency, allowing Romans to resolve business disputes quickly without consulting sacred city laws. The praetor Peregrinus functioned as the mechanism for this separation, allowing Rome to integrate foreign wealth into its economy while keeping citizenship gates closed. As the jus gentium expanded globally, it required a unifying logic to prevent the entire system from fracturing under the weight of thousands of local customs. Rome imported Greek Stoic philosophy, specifically the concept of natural law, applying it as a software patch to their legal system. Natural law served as a functional tool to establish equity, creating a standard of fairness that could be applied across the entire empire. To manage the volume of global legal data, emperors began licensing professional lawyers, called jurisconsults. They were granted the jus respondendi, which gave their legal opinions binding authority in court. This table of contents from a text on Roman law outlines the specific forces that transformed the system. The jurisconsults acted as data processors, secularizing the law by converting raw magistrates' rulings into a scientific jurisprudence. By integrating universal philosophy and professionalizing a legal class, Rome generated the analytical processing power necessary to govern a multi-ethnic continent. In the later empire, between the rules of Diocletian and Justinian, The western borders experienced severe political fracturing and physical collapse. Operating from the eastern server of Constantinople during the transition into the medieval period, Emperor Justinian I faced a legal code that had grown bloated and chaotic over centuries. Justinian initiated a massive administrative project to compile, edit, and compress nearly 1,000 years of scattered statutes and jurist opinions into a single database. This 6th century codification resulted in the Corpus Juris Civilis. Through this act of compression, Justinian successfully decoupled the Roman operating system from the physical vulnerability of the empire, packaging it for survival. The physical map of 117 AD was lost to time. But the invisible legal infrastructure that ran it survived intact. The Corpus Juris Civilis was later rediscovered and used to build the modern legal codes of Western Europe and Latin America. Returning to the tension of the Pax Romana, the historical record requires a perspective beyond simple utopianism or cynicism. The Roman peace was the invention of a scalable, systematic administrative technology that simply outlasted the legions deployed to enforce it. The reliance of the modern world on the civil law framework proves that Rome's most permanent conquest remains structural, long outliving its territorial borders.